Fort Smith getting closer now to choosing its next city administrator. The person chosen will run the city's day-to-day operations, while Fort Smith continues to debate whether to keep that form of government. Tonight, the two finalists met with residents ahead of tomorrow's interviews. 5 News reporter Taylor Howard tells us what the two had to say.
This is a huge decision for the city of Fort Smith.
Fort Smith has operated under a city administrator form of government since the 60s. The board of directors makes the policy decisions, while the city administrator is responsible for running the day-to-day operations and carrying out those decisions. One finalist is already doing that job. The other would come to Fort Smith after serving as the administrator for Whitfield County, Georgia. Now, the board has to decide who would be a better fit.
The city of Fort Smith is facing infrastructure problems, and we've got to figure out a way to plan for our water improvements.
Acting City Administrator Jeff Dingman says getting those projects done starts with bringing the board members together.
Part of the challenge for this position will be building a consensus among those elected officials to start working in the same direction, but also just a clear message to the community that that our elected officials are working together for the betterment of the community.
Dingman says he supports letting voters decide whether to change Fort Smith's government to a mayoral-led system. But he says he believes professional city managers are best suited to help carry out the board's policies.
But overall, the change itself, I'm not in favor of. Of course, I'm a professional city manager.
Robert Sivick says the debate over the form of government needs to be resolved. He says once voters decide, the city needs to move forward.
At least for the foreseeable future, that decision has to be respected.
He says the next city administrator should focus on planning for Fort Smith's future.
I would assume Fort Smith wants to continue to grow because in local government you're either growing or you're denying. And you need to look at that from a variety of standpoints. From economic development, money makes things happen, so it is important. Government and communities don't run on rainbows and sunshine.
Board members will interview Robert Sivick Thursday. Jeff Dingman won't be interviewed since he's serving as acting city administrator and based on the board's ongoing evaluation of his performance. In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Taylor Howard, 5 News.
The board is expected to discuss the position in executive session after Tuesday night's regular board meeting next week.